Once on a farm long ago, a mama duck sat on her nest. How long must I wait for my babies to hatch? I have to sit here all by myself? But what could she do? A mama duck must keep her eggs warm till they hatch. At last, the eggs began to crack. One yellow duckling stepped out of its shell, then another. Each little chick shook its wings, quack, quack. Look at you, cried Mama Duck with joy. You're so cute. Quack, 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 they said with pride. Come line up, Mama Duck. We will go down to the lake for your very first swim. She counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh dear, she said with frown. I had 6 eggs. I should have 6 ducklings. One large egg was still in the nest. Well, Mama Duck, it looks like that big egg will take time. So she went back to sit on her nest again, wait some more. The next day, the big egg started to hatch, popped out baby boy bird. Yet, my goodness, how different this one looked. He was so much larger than the others. He was not yellow, but dark gray, all over. And after he stepped out of his egg, he walked with a funny wobble. One of the yellow ducklings pointed. What's that? He can't be one of us. I have never seen such an ugly duckling, said another. How can you say such a thing, said Mama Duck, in a very sturdy voice. You are only a day old. Your brother hatched from the very same nest as you did. Now line up. We will go to the lake for your very first swim. How can you say such a thing, said Mama Duck in a stern voice. All the way the other ducklings quacked. Ugly, ugly, ugly. The ugly duckling did not know why the other ducklings were yelling at him. He fell behind to take the last spot in line. When they got to the lake, each yellow duckling jumped in and swam behind Mama Duck. When it was his turn, the ugly jumped in too, and he started to paddle. At least he can swim, Mama Duck thought to herself. When the yellow duckling got out of the water and started to play, the ugly duckling tried to play with his brothers and sisters. They yelled at him, Go away! We will not play with you. You are ugly and weird. When the Mama Duck was close by, she would not let them talk this way. Be nice, she scolded, but she was not always close by. One day, one of the yellow ducklings said to the ugly duckling, You know what? You would do us a big favor if you just went away. All of them started to quack. Go away, go away. Why won't they let me stay with them? Thought the ugly duckling. He hung his head down low. They must be right. I should go. That night, the ugly duckling flew over the farmyard fence to the other side of the lake. There he met the 2 grown-up ducks. Can I please stay here for a while? Said the ugly duckling. I have nowhere else to live. What do we care? Said one of the ducks. It's a big lake. Just get out of our way. Woof, woof. Suddenly a big hungry dog came tearing by, chasing the 2 ducks. They quickly flew up in the air and their feathers fell down on the ground. The poor ugly duckling froze in fear. The dog sniffed at the ugly duckling, and then it turned around and walked away. I am too ugly even for that mean old dog, said the ugly duckling in a sorrowful voice. The sky turned dark. Crack! A bolt of lightning hit the sky. Then a big storm with a heavy rainstorm pouring down. In just moments, the ugly duckling soaked through and through. A cold wind started to blow. Crack! A bolt of lightning lit up the sky. Brrr! He held up both wings close to his chest. If only there was some place I could dry out. All at once, a tiny light blinked far off in the woods. Could it be someone hut? The ugly duckling flew to the door. Quack! He said. The door of the hut creaked open. What is all this noise? Said the old woman, looking right and left. Her eyes were not that good, but she could hear. She looked down. A duck! She picked up the ugly duckling and dropped him inside her hut. You might as well stay here, she said. But mind you, I expect you to lay eggs. A tomcat and a hen both creeped up to the ugly duckling. Who do you think you are? The tomcat hissed. Coming here, taking up room by the fire. "Squawk," said the hen. "I'm only around here who lay eggs." "You don't know the first thing about laying eggs." "You got that right," said the ugly duckling. "I'm a boy duck." "Then why are you here?" sneered the tomcat. "Didn't you hear the old woman say, 'Imposter, get out of here,'" yipped the hen. "Go away," jeered the tomcat. The door was still a bit open, so the poor ugly duckling crept out of the door back into the storm. "No one ever wants me," said the ugly duckling with a tear in his eye. The storm ended. He finally found another lake. Looking in the water, the ugly duckling saw the reflection above. A flock of large birds flying overhead above him. He turned to admire them. They were the most beautiful birds he had ever seen. Their long bodies, slender necks, winged through the sky at ease and grace. He watched until the very last one had disappeared from the view. The ugly duckling stayed at the lake as the days grew shorter. Then the leaves turned deep red and gold and fell to the ground. Winter came, setting its blanket of white snow. The cold wind blew, and the clouds darkened. He had to dive into small holes in the ice to eat. Under the ice, it was all he could do is keep paddling so the water wouldn't freeze around him, trapping him underneath the lake. He became terribly tired. The ice got thicker and still blew harder. In a moment, two giants' hands swept him up. "You poor thing," said a farmer. He held the ugly duckling close to his thick wool jacket. "You didn't fly south with the others," the farmer carrying him someplace where. The next months were lovely. Warmth from the heat and the fire and the heat of the farmer enveloped our poor hero. For the rest of the winter, the farmer carried the ugly duckling. At last, spring came. The little dots of green spotted the tree branches. The flowers popped up from the ground. "It's time for you to go back from the lake to swim again, as you were both born to do," said the farmer. He took the duckling back to the lake where he had found him and set out on the water. "I feel good," said the young bird, flapping his wings. Why don't I ever feel as strong as I do right now?" Spring passed and summer. Then the leaves started to change colors when one day the ugly duckling heard a quiet splashing sound behind him. He turned around. A flock of the same beautiful birds he had once seen winging through the sky now sat on the lake. "Don't worry," he said. "Those beautiful birds holding out of his wings. I'm leaving. I won't make trouble for you." When he happened to glance down at the lake, he saw a reflection in the water. He looked like one of those beautiful birds. Why was the bird so close to him? He jumped back to the reflection and the reflection jumped back too. "What is this?" he thought of the puzzle. Our troubled hero stretched his neck, and strangely the reflection of the beautiful birds in the lake stretched its necks too. "Why are you leaving so soon?" called out one of the beautiful birds. "Come back," said another. "Stay with us," said yet the swan. "We'll be friends." The ugly duckling bird, who was used to be the ugly duckling, realized what happened. He was no longer an ugly gray bird and wobbled when it walked. He had grown into a beautiful swan. Then a dark thought crossed his mind. "You only want me because I'm a swan and I look like you," said he. "That's not it at all," said the first swan who had spoken. "We saw you all alone down here and thought you might want to join us. We don't care how birds look. Why, take a pelican over there. No one would take for a swan, squawkled the pelican. "How did you end up with them?" asked our hero, who used to be an ugly duckling. "Stayed up too late the night before," shrugged the pelican. "Slept till noon. My flock took off without me. Was sure glad the swans came along when they did." "Thanks, guys," said the second swan who had spoken in the erect. "What can I tell you?" said Egret. I love to ride those wind currents. Then found out my entire flock was gone. By then there was no way I could catch up. If swans didn't come along and invite me to join them, who knows where I'd be now." The hero, who was used to be an ugly duckling, considered these stories and yet was still skeptical. "Winter may get a little colder on the lake," he said, "but no one bothers me here. And in the spring, eventually," said the first swan. "Why suffer if you don't have to? Where we fly to, the sun shines hot all day. Imagine it, delicious, pondered for as far as you can see. Algae, waterside, grasses, the works." "I see your point," admitted our hero. "Besides," said the swan, "I bet you'd love to fly farther than just circling around this lake." "We sure do." Another good point. Our hero often imagined how lovely it would be to stretch out and just fly and fly some more. The bird, who was used to be an ugly duckling, considered these birds may be beautiful to look at, but they are beautiful inside. "This is a flock for me. And so the entire flock, including our newest friend, flapped their wings together, and in one moment, the flocks took off in the clear blue sky. The end.